So we were about 3 months into the new baby, and if you've ever seen parents with about a 3 month old, we looked like you imagine, like just total shit, like exhausted, circles under our eyes, snapping at each other, hard to focus on anything, just exhausted, just totally sleep deprived. And this like is kind of seen as normal for new parents. And whenever I ask new parents, like, what are they struggling with? What do they need help with? This is the thing that comes up, like sleep, like how do I get better sleep? And so we basically really, as biohackers ourselves, really became sleep experts and worked really hard to take all the things we'd learned from the biohacking community on sleep and apply those to ourselves and to our babies, and just no longer accept that we have to be sleep deprived all the time, that baby's going to cry all night long, and found a lot of ways to make it better. You are listening to Dedicated Joe, the new dad's guide on the upending and transformational experience of becoming a father. All right, my dedicators, I am going to talk about a very hot topic today for all new parents, and that is sleep. How can we get more sleep, good sleep with the baby ourselves? How do we get our baby to sleep? This is probably one of the most discussed, most talked about things for all parenting. So I'm going to put a bunch of resources in here because sleep is so important for parents, but it's so important for people and humans in our development. And Americans just overall don't get enough sleep. Even the non-parents don't sleep enough, don't get deep enough sleep. So there's a lot of really great stuff out there on sleep hygiene that I'm going to go over the basics of what my wife and I have utilized to this day, as well as tips and tricks for getting a baby to sleep, and then the actual sleep training model that we used and how that worked for us. So first of all, sleep hygiene. Now, a lot of this has to do with light, right? We're supposed to sleep at night, sleep in the dark. So blackout curtains, number one thing, very simple thing. Most people can afford them. You want to black out your and baby's room as much as possible. Our mitochondria in our skin can actually sense light through any part of our skin, not just our eyes. So not just eye mask, but any part of the body can actually absorb light and mess with our sleep. So black out the rooms, super, super key. Now, another thing is light hygiene around bedtime and waking up in the morning. So circadian rhythms are highly affected by lights because we're in the wild, we would be used to the sunset. It gets gradually darker. That puts us to sleep. But now we have all this artificial light, especially these blue lights, which are very disruptive to our system. So the goal is no blue light 2 hours before bedtime, which is very challenging to do, but that's the goal. And so there's a variety of ways to do this. Using amber or red lights is great because it mimics fire, so it doesn't disrupt our circadian rhythms nearly as much. Red's best, amber's okay if you don't like the weird, whatever, forever red light district vibe of the red lights, but kind of creeps my wife out. So we use amber lights. You can put a lamp in every room that's got an amber light bulb in it, and then just around, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., switch all the lights off and put that lamp on. Or you can invest in changing light bulbs to color changing light bulbs. I really like the blue light blocker light bulbs. They change you flip the switch on and off, and it changes from blue to yellow for evening to red at night. And it's a three-way, which are really cool. For even more money, you can invest in really fancy smart bulbs. The Philips Hue smart bulbs are the best of the best on those, but there's lots of LED kind of color changing light bulbs that you can set on timers to change to amber or red at night. But for sure, in baby's room, when you're changing the diaper, you want to use a very, very red or amber light. The salt lamps are really great for this. Salt lamps have this really cool vibe, and they're already like orange or red. So love those salt lamps. If you don't want to change the light bulbs, or your refrigerator and stuff like that, you can use red light glasses. I think they're kind of all the same. There's some very fancy ones if you want, but I think basically any pair of red glasses, blue blocker red glasses work. There's a ton on Amazon. This will really protect your circadian rhythms. Now, there's nothing worse. There's no kind of blue light that's worse for our eyes than screens, phones, TVs, computers. So the goal again is 2 hours before bed, no screens. Very hard to do. I do not follow this, but I recognize that I try to limit my screens. Same thing with before bed, or when waking up, like an hour before, after waking up, really let your body all the way wake up before you get on those screens. A lot of other good reasons to do this besides the light. But if you're going to use the screens, You can use the red glasses. You can also Google how to make your screen turn red with clicking the power button 3 times. This is on an iPhone. I don't know how to do it on Android. But you can use these tricks to turn your screen red so that it limits the blue light. This is really key for kids and toddlers and babies, though. So really, if you let your toddlers watch screens, try to not do it 2 hours before bed. It plays a big role in them going to sleep. Sunlight during the day is super, super important for sleeping. It is as much direct sunlight as you can get on your body, in your eyes, the better. Morning sunlight right when you wake up is really key. It lets your body know you're awake and starts that circadian rhythm clock ticking that goes all the way to bedtime. But midday sun, afternoon sun, evening sun, the infrared light, the UV light, all of it's really important. So our doctor recommends 30 minutes of direct sunlight on the whole body every day, which is more than I get. But that's that, and I do that. When I do it, I don't need sunscreen. Like 30 minutes in the sun, I don't burn. And same with kids. They can be in the sun quite a lot longer than people think before burning. And the vitamin D production, the hormone regulation, immune system. There's so many benefits to sun. We, as humans, we were wired to be in the sun all day long, and we just do not get enough sun. But it plays a big role in circadian rhythms of sleep. So the more sun you get, another interesting about sun, it actually can reduce EMF exposure challenges. So if you believe in the electromagnetic field disruption from electronic devices, sunlight actually can help re-regulate your system from that. So lots of sun. Our bodies are designed to cool down when sleeping. So everybody has a little bit different cool temperature. My wife tends to get really, really cold and want to sleep in like heavy pajamas. I get really, really hot and want to sleep in nothing. So figuring out a temperature that works for your family. But they say 68 degrees is the optimal sleeping temperature, which is very, very cold. So most people don't turn the thermostat to that, but that's how cold it could be. And now another way to fix this is with the cooling pads on beds if you can afford them. We use ChiliPad. My friends are really big fans of 8 Sleep. They both work great. They cool the bed. You can get ones that are dual, that are cool your side differently than her side. So my wife keeps hers a little warmer. I keep mine a little colder. They work really, really well. If you can afford those, really, really help with the sleep. And you can even put them in a baby's bed. You can put them you can fit it in a crib or in a twin size mattress. A big game changer for my sleep was going to bed and getting up at the same time every day. I was on that stay up late on the weekends, try to sleep in. The older I get and the more I am on my daughter's sleep schedule, the less this worked for me. And I had to really start to change away from it's Friday, I'm going to stay up late, to be like, nope, I'm going to bed 9, 10 p.m. And getting up 6, 7 a.m., it's kind of a range is okay, but really changing it wildly is really disruptive. So as tempted as you might be to stay up late on one of those nights that you don't have baby for some reason, I would recommend going to bed at the same time. Now, breathing is a big thing with sleep. Really powerful book by James Nestor called Breath. Super recommend this book. Link in the show notes to it. He talks a lot about breathing through your nose, how important nose breathing is to your body's regulatory systems. Breathing through the mouth increases cortisol, the fear, stress hormone. So breathing through your mouth during the day, low level sense of stress, fear all the time, lots of issues with that. But breathing through your mouth at night really disrupts the sleep because you're adding cortisol in when you should be getting all these other sleep rest hormones. So mouth breathing is one of the biggest problems in America's sleep right now and causes all kinds of other health issues. So nose breathing is key. 2 ways to achieve this. One of them is mouth tape, and use a little bit of medical tape, just a tiny little strip, just to tape your mouth closed. You can still breathe. You can still open it if you need to. You can still even talk a little bit. This didn't work for me. I couldn't sleep with the mouth tape. My wife got used to it and she loves it, but I couldn't do it. They make fancier ones too that actually go over the mouth and have a slit and so forth, but whatever works for you. I really liked the chin strap, and that's this little strap you wear in your head and just kind of suggests to keep your chin closed. And I can still talk with it. It's a lot more comfortable. I look pretty funny. I look like an old wrestler or something with it, but my wife loves me anyway. So I wear that and that helps a lot. I'll put a link to the show notes to that chin strap that I really like. With babies, it's as simple as just continuing to kind of train their mouth closed. Sometimes baby snoring is super cute. I get it. They're snoring and it's so cute. It's not cute. It's actually really damaging or risky to them. So pinch their mouths closed. A lot of indigenous tribes have stuff written about keeping babies' mouths closed when they're sleeping, but just kind of encourage that. And if you have toddlers or older kids that are having issues and you hear them snoring or mouth breathing, you could consider mouth tape or chin strap for them as well. That's really big. And then another key thing with breathing is tongue and lip ties. Most people have these deformations of the mouth where our lips or our tongue have these little ties in them. They're not supposed to be there. There should be nothing in between here and nothing in between here, and your tongue should go pretty far back. Like you should be able to like pull your tongue all the way back around. Most people have some kind of tongue or lip tie. I had my tongue and lip ties revised, meaning they're lasered off, and my breathing's better, my posture's better, changes a lot of stuff. For babies, it's really important to do this because it affects breastfeeding. Argentina started revising lip and tongue ties at birth, and they have some of the highest breastfeeding rates in the world. So my wife is a big proponent of getting those tongue and lip ties revised ASAP, if not at birth, in the first few months. It will really change the game on breastfeeding and does actually affect their sleep. All right, let's talk about food. We are what we eat, right? Food affects everything. It affects sleep. So I talk a lot about food on this podcast because, I run a baby food company. My wife and I are big health advocates. The same stuff I say all along, meat and veggies, man. Can't go wrong with meat and veggies. You want a balance of macronutrients here. So fat and protein being key. Carbs are fine. I'm not anti-carb. I'm not even anti-sugar. I'm just saying they need to be balanced, right? So if you're going to eat carbs, make sure you get a lot of fat and protein in there. Same with sugar. But for babies, they don't need, any sugars, right? We want to avoid all the sugars. The sugary fruit purees that are marketed to babies, they don't need those. There's really no nutrition in those. If you want to use them anyway, fine. But meat and veggie purees and, of course, breast milk are super, super key because that's that nice, there's the rich vegetable carbs plus the fat and protein from the meats. Serenity Kids pouches, of course, are the best for this. Link in the show notes with the discount code to get that dedicated 15 at checkout for Serenity Kids if you want these purees. Super great for sleep. For you and baby. Now, the biggest game changer for sleep that Serenity and I did, and I cannot believe more parents don't do this, is alternating nights of who takes baby. So many of my friends basically both get woken up all night long by baby, and there's this argument of who's going to take her, and it always seems to be mom, and she's mad at dad, or dad always feels like it's got to be him, and he's mad at her, and there's these middle of the night fights basically around who's going to take baby. We completely eliminated those by putting a mattress, an adult mattress, in baby's room, and we just alternated who slept with baby. This works for co-sleeping. You can co-sleep. Her and mom can co-sleep on her nights. She can co-sleep with me on the other nights. Or if Della didn't really love co-sleeping, so she just slept like in a bassinet just really near our bed. But we didn't both get woken up. We both got a full night's sleep every other night. Now, of course, mom's breastfeeding. She has to wake up to breastfeed. But on my nights, I would be woken up with Della. I would bring her to her mom to feed. She could feed her in the bed so she could stay laying down to sleep, feed her in the bed. And then I would take her and change her diaper and get her back to sleep and put her down. So at least there was minimal disruption for my wife. And once she was old enough to drink from a bottle of pumped breast milk, my wife still had to wake up in the middle of the night to pump, but she got to decide when to do that. She would get up, she would pump, she'd go back to bed. I would feed Della the bottle once or twice in the night, and my wife could get better sleep. I could get better sleep. I did this even when I was back working outside the home full time and my wife was still on maternity leave. I still alternated nights with her, both because losing sleep every other night isn't that bad. I could cope with it versus my wife losing sleep every night. She'd become a disaster, and it's just, if mom ain't happy, nobody's happy. So there's a lot of benefits to my wife getting good sleep emotionally for her and our relationship and for the baby because her and her baby are intertwined. So if she's not healthy and sleeping well, nobody's going to be happy. So alternating nights was huge. We continued that even when we started sleeping together again and our daughter grew older, we still decided in advance who would get up with her if she came in the middle of the night and who would get up with her in the morning because she was always an early riser. So there wasn't this argument. Maybe my wife was woken up for a second if our daughter came in the night, but I immediately would get up, go handle her, get her back to bed, and my wife could just kind of go back to sleep. And so just alternating those nights, we still have a distribution of sleep and morning duties in that way that makes sure that we protect our sleep at least every other night. Now, another big game changer is hired help. I didn't know this was a thing, but you can pay people to come and get up in the middle of the night with your baby. It's called a sleep nanny. And, it's an investment. It costs money. So, only do what you can afford. But Man, when we had like sort of a lot of sleepless nights in a row and we were both just sort of run ragged, like hiring sleep nanny for just like a couple nights in a row so we could catch up was really huge. There was also a period of time where we had them twice a week. We had them like it was like, I think like Tuesdays and Fridays or something. So it was like 2 nights a week, we both got full sleep, and then we traded off the other nights. Huge game changer if you can afford it. Definitely recommend it, especially in those very, very early postpartum days when they're getting up like 5 times a night. Now, getting a baby to sleep. One of the key tricks I learned, and this works for sleep, and this also works if they're crying a lot, like they're colic or they're really upset, are the five S's, right? Number one is swaddle. Wrap them up super, super tight. Babies love being swaddled. It makes them feel like they're in the womb. Number two is to lie them on their side. So I would lay them on my arm this way, and I have her side laying. Number three is suckle. So when you're on their side and their heads towards your hand, you can put your thumb in their mouth so she can kind of suck on your thumb. I thought that was really cute. I really liked that. They can also use a pacifier or whatever, but sucking, they love that. And then the other S is swaying, which you could call rocking, but to keep with the S's. So you can kind of sway them back and forth. This mimics their experience in the womb with mom walking around all day and then being kind of rocked to sleep. And then shushing. The shush sounds a lot like it sounded like in the womb. It was actually very loud in there. It's a very loud, like shh. So you do all 5 of these together. You swaddle them up, lie them on their side, thumb in the mouth, sway them, and shush really loud. Shh, shh, shh. Magic, like just calms them and often puts them to sleep real quick. One thing I learned also was using music. So you can sing a sleep song and have this be the same song you sing every single time they're going to sleep, like every nap, at bedtime. And to this day, my daughter's almost 7, and I sing her this song every night, and she cannot go to sleep without it. Basically, she's like, "I need my song, Daddy." Like, if I'm not there, my wife plays it on a recording, or sometimes she can sing it too. I sing this to her in utero. So I wrote this song for her and sang it to her in utero all the time. It was the first thing she heard when she was born, and then I sang it to her all the time growing up, especially when it's time to go to sleep. And I also wrote her a custom lullaby. So I have a custom lullaby and her song. But she prefers her song now because it's the one I sing mostly in utero. If it's never too late to do this, you can just pick a song. You don't have to write it. You can just pick a soothing song. Just make it the same song. All right, sleep training. Very hot topic. A lot of people think sleep training is let them cry, right? That is highly oversimplified version of sleep training. There are various different kinds of sleep training. Some do involve letting them cry. We didn't go with one of those, but really any of them you do are good. One thing to know is you can start as early as 4 months old. Sleep training. So you can't really start much earlier than that, so don't bother. And 4 months might still be too early. Like if it's not working, or you can always talk to your pediatrician or a health expert or whoever to ask what they think about your baby. Most babies as of 4 months and older, they can start to be sleep trained. We used a book called Baby Wise, and I'll put that link in the show notes to that book. And they advocate a model called Eat, Play, Sleep, which is just the order of things, right? You feed them, breastfeed or pouches or however old they are, purees, depending. You play with them, get them tuckered out, right? A lot of engagement, a lot of interaction. And then you do sleep. And you create that rhythm every time they go to sleep. So even if it's past bedtime and you haven't done this, do it. Feed them, play with them, get them to sleep, because this is the rhythm that will help keep them asleep once they get to sleep. Best way to play is energetically. So this rough play the dads love to do, rolling around, tossing them in the air, great to do before bedtime. It's counterintuitive be like, moms might be like, it's bedtime. You need to be winding down. Why are you roughhousing with them? It's actually good. Roughhouse the most before bed because they get extra tired and they pass out. I have another video on how to do safe rough play that I'll be releasing soon, but it's a very important thing for kids to do and for dads, a really great thing dads could do. So Eat, Play, Sleep was the model we used. There's a lot of other models in that book. We didn't need anything else. Eat, Play, Sleep got it done for us. And she started sleeping through the night pretty consistently once we got that rhythm going. But whatever it is, do it. It's super important to find a model that you like and get them to sleep. Super important for baby to be sleeping well. Super important for you and your wife to be sleeping well. And I hope this episode puts you to sleep and has some great resources for you. Stay dedicated.